Happy Friday, everyone. We are live. Thank you for joining me, and I want to do a special thank you for people who checked out our live stream on Tuesday night. So it was me, Chuck Todd, Jeffrey Skelly from Decision Desk HQ. We had a slew of other awesome guests. Um, it was really, really fun. We went for 5 hours and 45 minutes, which is a long time. But I thought it was really good. We had over 340,000 people on across all the night, across all of our different live streams, which to me is like a giant success. I was thrilled at that. I wasn't sure what it would do. I really enjoy doing it. I think it is the future of how elections will be covered. But it was really fun. And so if you were on it, thank you. If you weren't on the election night live stream, don't worry. I'm really hoping we're going to do more. I think the success of that first one makes it more likely we do more, he says, hopefully. Anyway, thank you. If you were on it, it was an absolute pleasure. For the new people who are coming to this live stream, so every Friday I do this for all subscribers, which is now over 130 something thousand, which is awesome. You can ask any questions you like in the chat over there on the right rail. You also can, I hope, if you're not already, you hit the subscribe button, become a subscriber to this channel. Please hit the thumbs up and like this video. That helps me sort of grow and helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Couple other quick business things that I'll do in about, I'll do twice this whole 45 minutes to an hour, which is the business end, which is if you want to support me, you're supporting independent journalism, you're supporting a creator, you're supporting someone who does not have ties to corporate media, you're supporting someone who does not have ties to either political party. You are directly supporting me doing this work. And I always say you need to support the journalism you want to see in the world. So the ways that you can do that financially, you can become a member of the Diamond Club, which is my membership tier here on YouTube. It's $6.99 a month. You get every Monday, you get my hour-ish long video podcast with Chuck Todd. You also usually will get a video or two, maybe three every week, usually interviews with newsmakers. It's been hard this week to do that, but that's what you'll get. You can also donate via the super chat button, the little rectangle with the dollar sign in it on this chat. If you do that, I'll bump your question up to the top, make sure it gets asked and answered, I hope. And you can also go to Substack, where I write every single day. Type my name and Substack in, it'll come up. You can get free content there every day, but if you want to get all of the content, you got to pay for it. $6 a month, $60 a year. Last thing, go to buymeacoffee.com and literally give me money for a reoccurring donation to help support what I do. All right, let's get started. Herbert Williams, who is going to go through our president's belongings when he leaves his temporary home? I don't know that anyone's going to go through his belongings, Herbert. I think it's, but yes, look, Donald Trump, we know, retained a lot of classified documents after he left the White House the first time. He has said that is his absolute right, and it is covered by the Presidential Records Act. He is wrong about that. It is not his absolute right, and he is not, in fact, covered by the Presidential Records Act. But yes, I would assume he will probably do something similar. Justin Ziegler. Justin, thank you so much for your donation. Hey, Chris, happy Friday. To get an idea of Tuesday and it being a loss to Republicans, I live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and a lot of school boards Democrats swept, including mine, safe Republican school board. Yeah. Justin, thank you for that note. Look, I think a lot of people got very hung up on the fact that that the most high-profile elections on Tuesday were in Democratic-leaning or very Democratic areas. So I would say Virginia is Democratic-leaning, New Jersey is clearly Democratic-leaning, New York is very Democratic, as is California. So yeah, Democrats won all those places, but they also won 2 public service commissioner seats in Georgia. And they won a bunch of Democratic retention races in the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. And Pennsylvania and Georgia are swing states. And as you point out, school board races in Pennsylvania went for Democrats too. So I think that people are underestimating that. I think Democrats are saying, well, of course, Republicans, excuse me, are saying, well, of course Democrats won. I mean, like, yeah, they did win in Democratic-leaning places. But like Spamberger won by 15 in Virginia. I mean, that's massive. Sherrill won by 12 or 13 in New Jersey. That's massive. And then these races in Georgia and Pennsylvania. I think that's a really good point. And thank you very, very much for your your donation. KS5618. Hey, Chris, do you still think Hegseth will be the first one to go on the Trump 47 administration? Well, he's not the first one to go because the National Security Advisor is already gone and is now, I think, the UN ambassador at this point. But the next one, probably, yeah. I mean, I just think the Defense Department and Hegseth is, I think in over his head. I think the stuff he's trying to do with the Pentagon Press Corps isn't working and playing very well. So yeah, I mean, I think if I had to choose, like not knowing, but I think he's on the thinnest ice at the moment. Of course, someone could come along with a scandal or say something about Trump or whatever, and that could jump that person over Pete Hegseth. But yeah, if I had to choose right now, that's what I'd say. Let's see. Brett Green. Hi, Chris. Kathy Hochul said again, she's not raising taxes or taxing the risk. Does this mean everything Zoran is doing is DOA? No, I mean, I think everything that Zoran wants is not DOA. I mean, I do think there's going to be some rubber meets road moments for Zoran Mamdani where some of the things he promised or said he was thinking about doing or might do are going to run into the harsh realities of New York City and then New York State politics. But look, I think if you're Mamdani, you got to pick one or two or three things that you think you can have a real hand in as mayor. I think rent affordability is key. Right. Is like what can he do on that? He ran on that. I would, if I were him, really focus on that. But yeah, he's not going to be able to do everything he said. I don't even think a lot of people who voted for him thought he would be able to do everything he said. Human NC. If Trump pardons Ghislaine Maxwell in return for her saying he was innocent, wouldn't that add fuel to the fire and make him look guilty? Yeah, for people who think he's guilty, sure. I mean, look, I just don't. I think some on the left are holding out this idea that there's a smoking gun in the Epstein files that are going to show that Donald Trump was like deeply involved in the Epstein stuff. I just don't think there is. I think he was better friends with Epstein than he wants people to know. I think some of his friends might have been deeper in the Epstein stuff, and he's trying to protect them to have it not come out. But I don't think there's a smoking gun in there. So like I think it is stupid. They should just let it come out. But I think Trump sometimes does things that are politically stupid. And I think this is one of them. Patrick Murray. Hey, Chris, last night, Tesla shareholders granted Elon Musk $1 trillion and said he's going to continue building a robot army and expand AI. Can you comment on any of this? I mean, obviously, it's not my wheelhouse. A robot army doesn't sound great. In general, it's like the Attack of the Clones situation. But I just don't know. Like I don't know enough about it. I mean, AI, I've heard everything from, by 2027, the robots will have murdered us all to it's all overblown. I try to listen and read as much as I can about AI because I think it is the future, but I think people don't know what that future looks like. And I would say those people include Elon Musk. Easy's Corporation or Ezic Corporation. Thank you for donation. I used to be the only Kamala 2028 supporter, but after these elections, I don't see how Newsom doesn't get the nomination short of an outsider. Kamala is just not charismatic enough. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I agree with you on Kamala. I actually don't think she's going to run. Oh my gosh. I just hit the chair down thing on my, hold on. Whoops. It was like taking an elevator down. I don't think she's going to run. Ultimately, I think she wants to keep her name out there to help sell that book, but I don't think she's going to run because I think she understands that her best day in the race is her first day in the race, and it goes downhill from there. Your second point about Newsom, I would say he's the front runner today. Yeah, but it's November 7th, 2025. I mean, like there's a lot of road to go before we get to actual people voting in the Democratic primary for president. So I think he's had a great year. I've made videos about it. I think he's had the best year of any Republican or Democrat looking at the 2028 race. But I think it's premature to say he's got it in the bag. I think Josh Shapiro is going to have something to say about that. AOC, I think if she runs, certainly will have something to say about that. And then one or two candidates who we're not even talking about right now will probably have something to say about it. So, yeah, I think too premature to say like, oh, he's got it in the bag. Richard Godshaw. Richard, thank you for donation. Richard says, thank you for Tuesday's live coverage. It was great. Thank you for your donation and for watching. It was really fun. Chuck and I had been talking about doing something like that for a while. It actually worked out better even than I thought. The one thing I think we'll do is maybe a few fewer guests. We had like 30 people on in 5 hours. It was just a lot. And, I think we both wanted a little more time to be like, oh, this is kind of a cool number. Let's talk about this. Whereas we were just kind of shuttling guests in and out the whole time. But it was really fun. And I think for like for a dry run, it was like really cool. So I think I hope we're going to do more of it. Julio J. Chris, choose one of these superpowers. Okay, you can see 1 hour ahead in the politics news. You know the exact error of polls, but not the direction. Interview one person lifetime. True answers guaranteed. Definitely not. I can see 1 hour ahead in politics news. That's not enough time ahead. I know the exact error of polls, but not the direction. Yeah. I mean, I guess that I would know, like, it would either be up 6 or down 6, but excuse me. I think I would do interview one person in a lifetime with true answers guaranteed, because I'd want to interview Donald Trump with true answers guaranteed. Atheist nihilist. Is Trump the most transparent president ever? Not talking about the administration, but him. He talks to reporters daily, has responded to thousands of questions. You can ask him a question about anything and he'll answer. So he's definitely the most available president in terms of the like the press that I've seen in my lifetime. I don't know if he's the most transparent because, yes, he gets asked a lot of questions and he'll answer, but he doesn't always answer the question, But I would say, yes, he is without question the most available president we've had. I've certainly ever seen, no question. M. Miller, thank you for the donation. What are the chances the Supreme Court gets rid of partisan gerrymandering in the next few years in light of recent events? Very unlikely. And in fact, I think if the Supreme Court is going to do anything with district lines, it's going to be getting rid of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which creates majority minority districts, which would be a huge boon for Republicans. That decision won't come until, I think, the end of June 2026. Probably won't have an impact on the 2026 maps if they get rid of Section 2, but would have an impact on the 2028 maps and would be a big boon for Republicans. I don't think they're getting rid of partisan gerrymandering. I mean, we'll see. Yes, 10292 doesn't, and thank you for your donation. I should have said that. Thank you for your donation. Yes, 10292, doesn't transparency require honesty and telling the truth? If so, Trump usually isn't being transparent, even if he is talking openly. Yeah, so this is my point. The most available president to the press ever. I don't know about the most transparent. Presidents are, because he doesn't answer lots and lots of questions. I mean, look, the guy went and had an MRI at Walter Reed last month, and they still haven't explained why. I mean, they were doing something. You don't have an MRI for nothing, and they still haven't explained why. Tabby D, beautiful day here in California. Prop 50 passed overwhelmingly. What is the president's rationale for suing? Why is it okay what he did in Texas, but not okay in California? He sues everybody. The rationale is it was good for him in Texas and bad for him in California. I mean, don't overthink it. Yeah, I mean, he sues all the time. It's a political tactic as much as it is a legal strategy. Like, don't assume just because he's suing, something's actually going to come of it. It very rarely does. I mean, I know we hear about the times when something comes of him suing, right? But when a news organization settles with him or whatever, but usually his lawsuits come to nothing. So don't assume anything there. Dr. Always First, what do you make of Jared Golden not running for re-election in Maine? Can any Democrat win Maine's 2nd district? I think he might be the only one. Is there a place for conservative Democrats anymore? So I say to people, in terms of the 2026 election, the most important House Democrat to retire this week was not Nancy Pelosi. Look, she's 85 years old. She left leadership two and a half years ago. She's been in Congress for 40 years. She was going to go at some point. To me, the more important Democratic House retirement as it relates to 2026 is Jared Golden. This is a guy who represents the most Trump favorable district the Democrat who represents the most Trumpy district in the country. I think it's going to be very hard for them to hold. And I would recommend to people read what Jared Golden wrote about his reasons for retiring in the Bangor Daily News. He wrote an op-ed in which he basically said, like, I'm not afraid that I couldn't win again. I'm afraid that I would win because I really don't enjoy what I'm doing. That's pretty telling. And I think that's actually a bipartisan view. Dan W., a member of the Diamond Club. If you're not a member of the Diamond Club, think about joining. It's really good stuff. It's a way to support me too. If you mostly are consuming my content on YouTube. I'm always happy if you're just a subscriber, but if you can support me financially, it's $6.99 a month, $6.99 a month, and I try to give you a few extra videos every week. I don't always succeed, but I try. Dan, thank you for being a member. Dan says, can we all agree that daylight savings times is the worst? What happened to the bill eliminating it? You know who was like the biggest pusher of eliminating daylight savings time? Marco Rubio. And he no longer is in the Senate, obviously. It is the getting dark, at least in DC, getting at like 5, it's like twilight. And by like 5:25, it's dark. No bueno. I mean, that's tough, man. It makes me want to hibernate like a bear. Felonious, were you and the panel surprised? I was, especially by NJ, where the polls were very close, right? I thought Mikey Sherrill would win. I thought it would be closer. I mean, very little of the polling had Mikey Sherrill up 12 or 13 points, which I think is her final margin. I think polling is struggling to figure out who is voting. This was an electorate that obviously very much favored Democrats. The Democratic base was fired up. The Republican base was kind of meh. And that's when you get results like Spamberger plus 15, Sherrill plus 12. So I was a little surprised by the margins in both Virginia and New Jersey. I expected them both to win, the Democrats, but I didn't expect them to win by that much. Let's see. Michael Gates. Hey, Chris, with populism on the rise in both parties, how long will it take for centrism to become a popular option once again? I mean, look, I think we are going to see a fight over what the Democratic Party is going into 2028, not into 2026, but going into 2028. And what I mean by that is it like an economic populist lefty party, AOC, Zohran Mamdani, Bernie Sanders, or is it more of a centrist, sort of economically moderate, socially liberal party, which would be more like Josh Shapiro, Andy Beshear, Gretchen Whitmer? I think you're going to have a choice there, because I think you're going to have a lefty choice, which I think will be AOC. But, if it's not AOC, maybe it's Ro Khanna or someone like that. And I think you're going to have a centrist choice, which would be, Shapiro, Whitmer, Rahm Emanuel, those types of people. So I think we're going to have that conversation. Paul Olson says, here it is, Friday again, and that's Cillizza Day. I like it, Paul. Paul says, election night was great. Unlike you, however, I did not have 5 hours of stamina. Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. I was tired. Let's see. Billy and the Hoodoos. This SNAP thing is cruel, and as far as I know, unprecedented. It's majority seniors, disabled folks, and children think this is weird and really scary. What do you think, Chris? I think that what happens oftentimes in politics is real people get screwed. And I think that's what's happening. The politics of this are up in the air enough that neither side feels like they need to give in yet. And so they're continuing to not give in. The problem, of course, is that if you are on food stamps, you don't give a crap about the politics, right? You just want to be able to feed your family, and that's not happening. Same thing with the FAA and air traffic controllers, right? I mean, you're trying to get from place A to place B. 10% of flights are now canceled or delayed today because of air traffic controller shortages. I mean, it's politics. Often the politics of something are very different than the kind of lived realities, I find oftentimes, and I think that's a bad thing. Let's see. Let me knock out a few more. Bear Cub Daycare, thank you for your donation. Question: will any post-MAGA Republicans smell blood in the water? So I made a video about this yesterday about whether Trump's grip would be loosening on the Republican Party. Look, by any normal measure, it should be. There's no question about that. By any normal measure, a second-term lame duck president who is constitutionally barred from running for a third term, who is at 41, 42, 43% approval nationally, whose approval on the economy is way underwater. Negatives are way higher than positives. The party who has an election in 2026 in swing districts would be sprinting away from the president. This is not a typical situation because Donald Trump's grip on the Republican Party is iron. Do I think there will be some distancing? I think there has to be. I mean, if you're in a swing district or a swing state and you're up in 2026 and you're a Republican, is your plan to just stick by Trump all the way through? I think that is unlikely to end well in 2026. So I'm interested to see. Again, it would have already happened in any other scenario. So I'm um M. Miller, thank you for your second donation. What would take for the modern Senate to actually convict a president who had been impeached? Are we just too divided as a society? Yes. I mean, I guess you would have to show like, I don't even know. I really don't know. You would need 67 votes to convict in the Senate and have that person removed from office. I don't see any scenario by which Donald Trump could do something in the next 3 years where that would happen. Thank you for your donation. Vibes and stuff. Thank you for your donation. Can Dems win in Mississippi, U.S. Senate and House? So I know that a lot of Democrats were very fired up this week in a positive way because on Tuesday, the Mississippi State House Democrats won enough seats to take the Republican supermajority away. So they can't just do anything they want. Look, Mississippi has a large Black population. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's large. And Black voters tend to be very reliable Democratic voters, which will always make the numbers look doable in Mississippi. It's why Chuck Schumer keeps thinking that he can beat the Mississippi Republican senators. I just think the white vote is so polarized for Republicans now that it's harder than it looks. So can you win a state house race? Sure. Can you win a Senate race? It's tough. Can you win U.S. House race outside of the majority minority district? It's really hard. Okay, let me keep going here. Oh gosh, donations are rolling in. Thank you all. This is so great. Steampunked Bull, thank you for your donation. Will the filibuster be the exit ramp for Republican senators to finally break from Trump? Also, what are your odds for a Dem Senate majority now? Way to be like a reporter and ask two questions. So let me point this out on the Trump thing. The Trump distancing or loosening his grip. So John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, said, like, we're not changing the Senate legislative filibuster rule, right? Even after Trump said he wants it changed. So I think that's meaningful. Marjorie Taylor Green, one of the most Trumpy people out there, has repeatedly broken from Trump and Republicans of late, especially on the Epstein files. Rand Paul, who is Rand Paul, he's kind of his own island, but he's a Republican senator, has criticized Donald Trump on the Venezuela drone attacks. Ted Cruz, we forget about this, but a month and a half ago, we were talking about Ted Cruz scolding Donald Trump and the FCC commissioner for trying to keep Jimmy Kimmel off the airwaves. So there's a little bit, I say it's cracks, not gaping holes. There's a little bit there. Again, will it broaden? I'm skeptical. It should, just politically speaking, because Donald Trump is unpopular and a lame duck. But I don't know if it will. Your second question, odds for a Democratic Senate majority. I answered this question just now in my Friday mailbag. I post that over at Substack. I usually do that right before I come on and do this. I said 33%. Here's, I'll go through it real quick. In order to win back the majority, Democrats need to net 4 seats. Their two most obvious options to pick seats up are North Carolina open seat and Susan Collins in Maine. Let's give them those two. And then let's say that they win the 3 seats of theirs that are in very obvious danger. The Michigan open seat, John Ossoff in Georgia, and the New Hampshire open seat. Okay. So you still then need to find 2 more seats. It has to be, at this point, 2 of these 3, Ohio, Iowa, and Texas. Maybe Alaska if Mary Peltola runs. Just hard. I mean, those are not friendly places for Democrats. So I think it's possible, but not probable. Bill Reeve. Bill, thank you so much for your donation. Bill says, what do you think of Barack Obama telling Democrats no litmus test? Yeah, he's right. Look, here's what 2024 proved. The tent of Democratic base voters is not big enough to win a national election. They have to broaden the tent. So I think he's right about that. And I think when you start putting litmus tests in place, you start losing. I think it's a big mistake for them to do that. I mean, I think Democrats usually do well to listen to Barack Obama. And I think in this case, they're right. Techno Lawyer, thank you so much for your donation. No question, but I appreciate you. Let's see. Remember, folks, if you are donating to me, it is going right to me to do this kind of work. So thank you for your support. Matthew Hawkins, if Donald Trump is sicker than we know, could Marjorie Taylor Green be setting herself up with these TV segments to appeal to Vance as VP since he probably is not as extreme as Trump? I think Marjorie Taylor Green wants to run for president. Look, I don't know about Donald Trump's health. it's a closed box to me. I think she wants to run for president. I think she's ambitious. I think she looked at the Senate race, she looked at the governor's race, and now I think she's going to look at the presidential race. I mean, it is pretty funny that she is suddenly like, she was on Real Time with Bill Maher, she was on The View, and she was on CNN with Caitlin Collins the other night. Like, it's pretty remarkable. Like, she's transparently trying to change her image. But I think, yeah, I think she wants to run for president. That would be my guess. Joaquin Varela, what do you think JD Vance's main goal would be if elected president? I'm curious his message would be once Trump's grip on the party is gone. I mean, I think so the MAGA movement is split between like true, straight up America First populists, and Marjorie Taylor Green is very much in that category, and kind of the techno bro edgelord crowd, and Vance is much more in there. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, etc. I think he'd be much more, kind of pushing their agendas. Then Trump is still, I think, really more of like a populist, a true populist kind of America First MAGA. I know not everything he does, particularly in foreign policy, is what Marjorie Taylor Green wants, but I think that's a real fight that we're going to see. Bad Wolf, can Democrats flip the Ohio, Iowa, and Alaska Senate and governor's races? I think Iowa is interesting on the governor's race. They have Rob Sand, the state auditor. He's going to be the strongest Democrat that they've had in about a decade. So I don't know if they can win. I think Iowa is a Republican-leaning state, but I think he has a chance. Alaska Senate and governor is very dependent on what Mary Peltola does. If Mary Peltola, who was the member of Congress, Democrat from Alaska for 2 years, well-liked, although she lost her re-election race. If she runs for governor, I think she has a good chance of being elected governor. If she runs for Senate, I think she has a slightly less chance of beating Dan Sullivan than she does of getting elected governor, but I think she, there's a real chance there for Democrats. Ohio, the governor's field is not great for Democrats, and Sherrod Brown was their best candidate, and he decided to run for Senate. So I would say Ohio Senate slightly more likely for Democrats than Ohio governor, which means I think Vivek Ramaswamy is probably going to get elected governor of Ohio. Rick Horton, hi, Chris. Enjoyed the live stream. Thank you, my friend. How and when does the shutdown end? I mean, I gotta believe we're in the kind of end stages of this. I do think the FAA cutting 10% of flights starting today will broaden out the impact of the shutdown. Right now, or up until today, it's largely been kind of a regional story. It's like, if you live in the DMV, you obviously know a bunch of people who have been impacted by it. If you don't, though, it doesn't really impact you. It will start to impact people more and more and more. SNAP benefits, Obamacare premiums, and then the flights. So I gotta believe pre-Thanksgiving, which is 3-ish weeks. We're already in the longest shutdown in history, which I did not expect to happen. So who the hell knows? But I would guess before Thanksgiving for sure. Let me stop there because I'm been going for about a half hour. A couple things. One, easiest thing you can do to support me: subscribe to this channel if you haven't. If you already have, just do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Other things you can do. You can become a member of the Diamond Club, which is my membership only tier on YouTube. You get the you get the video podcast of Chuck Todd and I. It posts every Monday. It's about an hour long. You get that, and you ideally will get 1 to 3 other videos just for you every week. I don't meet that mark every week, but I try. You can also donate via the super chat, as people are doing. It's awesome. You can go to Substack, where I do most of my written content over there. $6 a month, $60 for a year to support me. Last thing you do, buymeacoffee.com. Just search my name and make a donation. And that can be a reoccurring donation every month if you want it to be. Let's see. The undergrad CFP, what trajectory do you see the Republicans that are moving away from MAGA Republicanism and Trump? I don't see a ton of movement away from MAGA Republicanism and Trump just yet. TBD. Let's see what happens over the next couple months. But I don't see a ton of movement right now away. I am Christopher Swan. Thank you for your donation. AOC is moderated to gain House respect. Do you see her doing similar for a presidential run, a moderated socialist, and how would that play? Yeah, I think she has moderated. I don't think she's walked away from her views, but she's clearly moderated. If you go and watch her speech at the 2024 Democratic National Convention, you're not going to think like, this is a wacko liberal who could never do anything in politics. Look, she's still going to be a lefty. Her views on any number of things, culturally and socially and economically, are going to be to the left of the country. I just don't think people really vote on policy for president. I think they kind of vote on vibes and tone. I don't know that Donald Trump won because of policy either time. So that's why I think AOC has a real chance. MH Parkinson, thank you for your donation, my friend. New York races all broke for Democrats. Is Elise Stefanik, a convert into MAGA, a fool for running for New York governor? Isn't her connection to Trump a negative? I think that she probably sees it as like up or out in the House. She thought she was going to become the UN ambassador. They pulled that away, and then she wasn't in leadership anymore. And so she, I think, is like, okay, I'm going to do this. And if I don't do this, then like I can go do other things. It's not a 50-50 race. She probably has about a 1 in 3-ish chance of being elected governor. It might be even lower than that. I think the results on Tuesday aren't great for her. So yeah, I mean, I get why she's running. I think she's probably going to be the strongest candidate on the Republican side that they've had in a while. But again, the last time a Republican won a governor's race in New York was 2002, George Pataki. So it's been a while. Let's go. More donations. Pocket Watch. Pocket, thank you as always for your support. Tuesday's live stream was a great success all the way around. Any thoughts on doing a similar big live streams for an event other than an election? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm open to doing other live streams. I had a great time. And Chuck and the Decision Desk HQ people really helped out on the production end of things. They have more people doing that kind of stuff than I do. I have zero. But yeah, I think it would be really fun. And thank you for your donation. Let's see. Broad Fjord. What makes you think that Janet Mills can actually defeat Susan Collins? Plattner would destroy Collins, and the people of Maine think the same. I don't think Plattner or Mills would destroy Susan Collins. She's won every race since 1996. I think a lot of people underestimate Susan Collins who don't live in Maine. She's a really good politician. I don't know whether Janet Mills or Graham Plattner is the stronger nominee. I think Graham Plattner's staying in the race. I don't think he's getting out because all this stuff that's come out about him. I think he's going to stay in, and I think he could win the primary. I don't know who's a stronger candidate, but I will tell you, if you think beating Susan Collins is going to be easy, go back and look at 96, 02, 08, 14, and 20. She's won all of those races. David Rodriguez, VPs don't win races, but if Newsom is the nominee, I like the idea of Shapiro or Bashir as VP, who seem more center to counter the Republican liberal talking points they'll use against Newsom. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I get that. At the same time, people vote for president, not really for vice president. So it's like, if AOC is the nominee, she's kind of the most lefty, credible candidate I can see out there. If she's the nominee and she picks Andy Bashir as her VP, does that mean they won't attack her as a liberal? No, of course not. So it's like, I don't know about that. Andy H. Hi, Chris. Is extrapolating Mamdani's win to mean that Democrats should fully embrace their left flank a mistake, or should they actually do it? Well, I mean, look, Zoran Mamdani got elected mayor in one of the most liberal cities in the country. Okay. I mean, New York City is not a microcosm of any swing area in the country. I think Democrats should embrace his passion, his social media savvy, his understanding of how independent media is rising and legacy media is falling. I'm not sure they should embrace his positions. Look, I think we're going to have a real debate and fight in the 2028 election between the Bernie, Mamdani, AOC wing of the party and the Shapiro, Whitmer wing of the party, for lack of, you could pick your candidates in there, but I think we're going to have that debate. I don't think that debate is over with just yet. Daniel Kent, in regards to Kamala running, did you happen to see her on Jon Stewart's podcast? I was trying to gauge that while listening, and I thought she definitely is considering running. Oh, I think she's considering running. I just think she's going to look at it at the end and be like, I'm probably not going to be able to win. I just don't see the energy for her. I think a lot of those big California donors who were for her last time are going to be for Newsom this time. I just don't see it. I don't see the money. I don't see the message. I don't think she's a particularly good candidate, as I've said before. Cairo Beach. Hey, Mr. Cillizza. Wow, Mr. Okay. Dialectics. Hey, Chris, with Glenn Youngkin on the way out, what do you project his political future is in the short and long term? Virginia Senate 26, Governor 29, VP or presidential shot in 28. I think he'll put his name in for president in 28. Like, he'll start mixing it up and see if there's any there. I'm not sure there is, but I don't think he's running for the Senate in 2026. And, if he fiddles with president and doesn't work out, I could maybe see him coming back and trying to be governor of Virginia in 2029. But I think president 2028 is what comes first. Let's see. Brian Fugate. Chris, now that it's college basketball season, how do you think your Georgetown Hoyas will do this season? This is going to be our best season in a very long time, which is a low bar because we've been terrible. We play Maryland tonight at 6 p.m. It's on Fox Sports. It's going to be a big test. I really like it. I will note to people, we beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena 2 weeks ago, and it was an exhibition, and several of their best players were out, but I'll take it. I think this team is tough. I think Ed Cooley's doing a good job. Rashad Ellison. Would an AOC and Mandani Democratic ticket even be possible? Unless I'm wrong, Mandani was born, I know he was born in Uganda, but I don't think his parents are American citizens or were. So I think he is a naturalized citizen, and I don't think you can be president if you're a naturalized citizen or vice president. But you can check me on that, but I think that's right. Let's see. Paul Olson. Paul, thank you as always for your support financially. Since Fox and the GOP will be shouting Mamdani for the next 3 years, how can Democrats as a whole avoid being tarred and feathered? I think it'll be challenging. I will say though, and Chuck made this point on the live stream, and I thought he was right, the election night live stream. It's a little harder to character Mamdani than I think Republicans think. He's really a gifted politician. He's a happy guy, right? Politics of optimism. I just think it'll be hard to cast him as like the scary boogeyman who's going to make everyone a socialist. But that doesn't mean they won't try. Lou, 8181. Lou, thank you. PTFO sports journalist said owners are buying player silence. I worry investor money will co-opt the boom in indie journalists. Is that inevitable? I don't know. I mean, look, I do think the problem is that independent journalists, the hardest thing about it is how do you make a living? Where does the money come from, right? Like the truth of the matter is it's $6 a month on Substack or $6.99 a month on my Diamond Club. It takes a lot of $6.99s to add up to like a living wage. That opens up independent journalists to the lure and allure of wealthy people being like, hey, I'll pay you X amount and just write nice things. I'm not a guy who's going to do that. Like I'll get out of journalism before I do that. But I think it's really hard for a lot of people. I get it. I really do. And I worry about it too. Herbert Hinders, what would it take to increase the number of representatives? When the country was founded, it was one representative for 40,000. What would the result be if it was one representative for every 100,000? I agree. I think we should do it. I believe the House has the ability to expand itself, though I assume you guys will correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I think the House has an ability to change its makeup. You now have House members representing 650 or 700,000 people. It's way, way, way too many. Way too many. Today, 707, what's the one off the trail story that either you want people to be more educated on and or more people don't talk about enough? Good question. Ranked choice voting. I think it works. I think it works in that it creates a different incentive structure than the one that we currently have, which is 400 of the 435 House members, their only danger is being beaten in a Democratic or a Republican primary. So they just run to the extremes. With ranked choice voting, you have to at least pay some lip service to people who aren't already totally for you. So I would love to see that happen. I don't know that it will, but let's see. John Ryu, have you discussed Seattle Mayor? Katie Wilson, the more progressive candidate, is trailing, but Seattle votes tend to skew way left as counting progresses. I haven't talked about it yet. What's interesting is Katie Wilson won the first vote to get into this runoff and is now behind the incumbent, more moderate establishment mayor. I know it's getting closer. I'll keep an eye on it, though. Anonymous Thinker, FTB. James Talarico seems headed for a Texas Democratic primary win. Did the midterms materially enhance his chances of winning statewide in a general from your perspective? By the midterms, I assume you mean 2025, since we're not to the midterms. Not materially, no. Talarico is going to raise a ton of money. Look, if Jasmine Crockett gets into that race and she's talking about doing it, that could change the dynamic a little bit. But yeah, I think if I had to pick today, I would pick Talarico to beat Colin Allred in that primary, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. And then in the general, I think if you're a Democrat, you have to hope Ken Paxton wins, not John Cornyn. Ian Irwin, the Democratic Party needs to stay moderate. Mamdani would not win in purple areas. I agree. If Mamdani is the nominee in a swing district, he loses. For sure. No question. Mo Coffee, thanks for election night, Chris. Discourse needs accessible venues, especially in dynamic times. Totally 100% agree. And that's what I'm trying to make happen. Let's see. Just trying to get through all these. Oh, techno lawyer. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 10 duck-sized horses? 10 duck-sized horses. Always. Hold on. I'm going to do a lightning round if I can here because I got stuff. Bro. Do you think Graham Plattner actually has a chance? Yes. Yeah, I do. Do I think he's the favorite? I guess I'd give Janet. I don't know. It's a good question. It's probably like 50-50. If Plattner didn't have all the stuff, his tattoo and all the stuff on Reddit, I probably would give him a slight edge just where the Democratic Party is right now. But it's probably a toss-up at this point. Vibes and stuff. Thank you for your donation. Would you interview Nick Fuentes on your platform? No, I would not. Okay, let me see. L.Y. Hang. Who do you think will win Michigan Senate Democratic primary? So I think Haley Stevens, the congresswoman, started as the favorite. I think it's much more of a toss-up now between the three of them. I would put 50 cents on Mallory McMorrow because I think she's pretty talented, but I honestly don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just trying to get people who haven't asked questions. Mood code. Kazakhstan moving its national wealth fund to crypto the day Trump comes to the Central Asian Summit. How is this not a bigger story? 0% chance Don Jr. and Eric are not getting a big cut here. Dude, I have said this many times over. What they are doing in the crypto space is it is corruption in plain sight. I mean, it just is. People don't care about it because they don't understand crypto, but it's corruption in plain sight. Mo Coffee, do you think Steve Earle is destined to the Country Music Hall of Fame now that he's with the Grand Ole Opry? Man, I really hope Steve Earle gets in the Country Music Hall of Fame. He's incredible. Crab Donkey says, Graham Plattner will do okay if he stops doing stupid things. Man, isn't that a story of all of our lives? We'll do well if we stop doing stupid things. Fenway Cheap Seats, do you think that SCOTUS potentially ruling against the administration on tariffs will actually be doing Trump a solid and giving a boost to his slumping economy? It actually probably will help him because tariffs are not going to help the economy get better, right? People are uncertain about them. I think the more tariffs we have, the worse it will mean for the economy. So yes, they could actually be helping him out. But I will say, for people who insist that the Supreme Court is totally in Donald Trump's pocket, go and listen to the oral arguments from Wednesday on the tariff question. You will not think that if you listen to them. Bro, do you think the right's Groyper problem is real? As a young adult, a lot of my Republican peers seem to be using edgy humor as a cover for Nazism. I don't know enough to make a broad scale statement. I mean, look, I think Nazism has to be broadly condemned by both parties anytime it rears its head. Like you just can't have it. Perry Leander Wood, a member of the Diamond Club. On your election coverage, I thought that the statement that Hispanics are now a swing constituency was very responsive to economic conditions was very important. Very good coverage, by the way. I totally agree with you. I think that the idea that Hispanic voters are now a swing constituency is smart and right. Evan, is that an Emmy Award behind you on the bookshelf? Yes, it is. Now it's a regional Emmy, but I've won two of them. The last one, this one is for the show I did on Monumental Sports called Politics Aside. Check it out. We're in our second season now. Let's see. Brad David, I love the live coverage, but agree it would be better with less guests and more of just you and Chuck. Oh, you're speaking my language. Kyle Mitchell, did you see the Emerson College poll that came out today? Spencer Kimball, executive director of Emerson College, said Republican voters' approval decreased 12 points from 91 to 79 of Trump, I assume. Yeah, that's the number to watch. Does Trump's approval, which is in the kind of mid 80s among Republicans right now, does it dip down into the 70s? And if that happens, then you might see some Republican elected officials start breaking with Trump. Greg Allen, who is a member of the Diamond Club. I'm from Maine, and I don't think Graham Plattner will destroy Collins. No, man. I'm not saying Collins couldn't lose. She can, obviously. Maine is the only of the 20 whatever states that Republicans represent in the Senate right now that are up in 2026 that Kamala Harris won. But to say that like she's going to lose badly seems very unlikely. Let's see. Cole W says, go Terps. Mitchell Buck, as someone from New York, Governor Hochul doesn't seem personable and real. Everything seems to be that she wants a national platform anyway. Should Daniels sit for the rest of the year? You the man. No, don't sit Jade Daniels for the rest of the year. Play him when he's ready. Hochul, yes, she wants a bigger platform. Same thing with Marjorie Taylor Green. Same thing with lots of these people, Democrats and Republicans. That's why they run for these things. Um, Bear Cub Daycare, thank you for your donation again. Will Americans start to turn on big tech? Yes, and I think it's already happening. And I actually could see that being a pillar of a Democratic campaign in 2028, especially if JD Vance is the nominee. Sorry, I'm trying to knock out as many of these as I can. Technico, hey Chris, I've been a subscriber since you had 30,000 subscribers. Just dropping in to say I love your work and congrats on your success. Thank you. John Bernal, do you think former Utah Congressman Ben McAdams has a chance to win a congressional seat in a redrawn district? Yes. I think Utah is going to have to redraw its lines in a way that that creates a Democratic district there, a district a Democrat could win. And yes, Ben McAdams would be a strong candidate. Balasarma, what do you think of the Dems' chances of flipping Alaska? I assume you mean in the Senate race. They have a real chance if Peltola is the nominee. They do not if she isn't. Jerry Calderon, what a horrific rulings by the Supreme Court. Expanding the seats is a must-do for Dems. A 12-year limit for justice seems reasonable. That is not going to happen. Corky664, thoughts on Ivanka being the member of the Trump family running for president? No way. I could see Don Jr. and I could see Eric, but I could not see Ivanka. I don't see it. Greg Allen notes again from Maine. He says, ranked choice voting is great. Need open primaries or the Alaska system too. I totally agree. We need to make structural changes. Right now, the incentive structures all favor this bitter polarization and partisanship. We have to change the way that these people get elected to change their incentives and motivations when they run and then when they're in office. I think that's exactly right. Let's see. What's a regional Emmy? It's an Emmy for the Mid-Atlantic region. It's just the same old, same old. Okay. All right. I got to run. Thank you as always. Again, ways to support me. Hit the subscribe button. Thumbs up this video. Those are both free. Become a member of the Diamond Club. $6.99 a month. You get more content, including every single Monday, my video podcast with Chuck Todd. You can also support me at buymeacoffee.com. If you want content, written content, go over to Substack. Just type my name and Substack in. My Substack newsletter will come up. You will get 2 to 3 things every day in your email inbox. Some of the content is free. If you want all of the content and you want to support me, $6 a month or $60 a year. Thank you. It is the end of an election week. I am going to take a big old nap. Everybody take care of themselves and maybe one other person too. Be well.